What is up, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Touchdown and Ties, the father-daughter sports podcast discussing football and everything else in between. I'm your co-host, Brianna, the daughter of this duo.
What up, everybody? And I'm Keith, her dad, the other co-host.
In today's episode, we're going to be wrapping up Week 5 in college football. But before we do, as usual, if you are not already following us wherever you listen to podcasts, we would so much appreciate that. That way you can get updates whenever we upload an episode, and it also helps us out as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, so college football finally picked back up this week. I feel like as we inch closer to October, the seasons kind of start to get more exciting. We have some more matchups, a lot of things going on in the SEC and the Big Ten this week. And even the ACC had some crazy games starting on Friday, Florida State and UVA. Did you see that storming the field when they did that?
That was crazy. I never got an update on that kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen a storming of the field that happened so quickly. It was like as soon as the ball hit the ground, those guys were like on the field. And I'm like, man, let the guy get off the ground first. I mean, it was nothing security could do about it. It was absolutely nothing they could do.
Let the guy get off the field first, but also like let the refs and everybody call game first, you know? Because like what if for whatever reason, like it happens all the time, you know, he caught the ball and then it just dropped or whatever.
Or there was a penalty.
Or something. You know, up front with the offense, it was like holding or something. If it was, there was nothing that they could do about it at that point because everybody was on the field. Saying that that's the case, but I was genuinely concerned for the safety of those guys because trample injuries are very real. They get very serious, and he just was engulfed just like that. And that was scary.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, I hope he's okay. I haven't seen anything to the contrary about that, but that was just really crazy. And hopefully the conference would do something about that because that was just it was just unbelievable the way they just stormed the field like that.
Yeah, I think storming the field now has kind of become a trend. Everybody just wants to do it because I feel like when I was younger watching football, you really only stormed the field if it was like a big game, not just because you just upset somebody or something like that. Like something very significant about that game had to happen for people to storm the field. And now I feel like people just do it just to do it.
I mean, and you did it against Florida State.
State.
It's not the Florida State from back in the day that would dominated the ACC or whatever. I mean, no disrespect to Florida State, but why are we storming the field against Florida State? You didn't beat Alabama. You didn't beat Georgia.
Yeah.
You didn't beat Ohio State. I mean, you beat Florida State and you stormed the field like, you just beat the best team in college football. So that part I didn't understand.
Yeah. Now, I have stormed the field before, but again, the significance as to why we stormed the field, biases aside, it was legit. You know, it was several years since we had beaten that team. You know, it was a perfect day. It was cold outside. It was snowing. It was just like picture perfect college football. But anyway, let's dive into some other things, the SEC and the Big Ten. So let's start with the Big Ten. And we had USC versus Illinois. So Illinois beat USC 34-32. I don't know if you saw that big play with SC that got called back on that penalty with that.
That was a great play.
I was like, man, are they watching the Lions? Like what? Like they got all these, these trick plays.
I guarantee you we will see that play again later on the season, if not by SC, by NFL team. That was a really great design on that play, and the lineman just, for whatever reason, drifted too far downfield. It was a great play.
Yeah.
Great play.
Yeah. It was 2nd and 17, touchdown to Mekhi Lemon. That was cool. That was a really cool play. Yeah, because I want to say it was the SC coach or the Illinois. I think it was the SC coach. He was again talking about the difficulties of having to do all that travel from the West Coast to the Midwest. And I was like, if only the USC was a part of a conference that had other teams on the West Coast and they didn't have to travel that far. I'm like, you guys literally did this to yourselves. I was like, there's like,
the coach didn't do it. I mean, the presidents of the university did it. They wanted more money. There's really nothing he could do about it. I mean, it is a problem. I could definitely see that being a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, before we started doing this podcast, you and I talked about that, just how unfair it is to the athletes and to their parents, right? Who may want to go to their kids' games. I mean, to go from LA all the way to Champaign, Illinois, or, to Rutgers all the way to Oregon or whatever the case may be. I just think that it's totally unfair to the players and everybody involved, but it's all about the money. It's all about the money. In that game, I mean, Lincoln Riley is having some issues
At
at
SC.
USC. Yeah, I mean, he's struggling. I think his record is something like 4-11 against ranked teams since he's been
Mm.
at USC. So the
Really?
natives in USC are getting a little restless with Lincoln Riley. I mean, you paid the guy over $100 million to come to this university. You took him from another blue blood school in Oklahoma to
Oklahoma.
bring him to SC, and this is not what you thought you were paying for.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
natives are getting a little restless.
because he came to SC off of the championship that they won at OU, right?
They didn't win a
They didn't
championship.
win
I mean,
championship, sorry,
I
but
think they may have gone to the championship game. I don't remember,
Mhm.
but they didn't win a championship. But if you remember, he coached Baker Mayfield. He
Jalen
coached
Hurts,
Galen Hurts. He coached the other guy, Kyler Murray,
Kyler Murray,
um, Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams,
So
yeah.
he
Did
has a
he
good
coach,
pedigree with coaches
did he
with quarterbacks.
did he oh, I mean, you talking about quarterbacks, but I was also thinking other good players. Did he coach CeeDee Lamb while he was at OU? Was he the coach at the time? Oh.
I think he probably was. Yeah, he coached some good players. Which is the reason why USC had to have him.
Mhm,
And since he's been in LA, the
mhm.
results just haven't been good.
So even that year that, because I know Caleb Williams, like, he with him at OU. When he left OU, Caleb Williams also went with him, and that first year
Correct.
they were together, that was a really good year for SC, and so even
Was.
including that year, they're still only 4-11 with beating ranked teams, really, because that was a really good
Yeah.
team at SC during that
Yeah.
time.
That's still their record, even with that
Wow.
year, including that year.
Yeah, because I
It's
know that
been it's
second
been
year was
tough.
not good. It wasn't great, but
And I think last year they were 7-6 maybe.
mhm,
I mean, so they barely had a 500 record last year. So you're not paying a guy that kind of money to be 7-6 and to
mediocre.
struggle against ranked teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Well, speaking of
speaking of
somebody that's
guys, just
struggling, yeah, struggling against ranked
right.
teams,
Yeah.
our minds were
Hmm.
going the same way. Penn
Yeah.
State and Oregon. Penn State and
Oregon.
Oregon
Yeah.
last night, so another game in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So I'll let you start because you told me that you think Penn State was overrated, and I was about to text you, and I was like, still think they're overrated, and I had to backspace all of that because I was like, he probably does.
Yeah. I did text you like when Oregon went up 17-3. I'm
Right,
like, man,
73,
Penn
yeah.
State overrated again. And then
Yeah.
they had that
They came
comeback,
back.
to their
Yeah.
credit. They tied the game up, took it into overtime. But I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Mhm.
I just never got the feeling that Penn State was going to win the game.
Mhm.
I mean, and it's you really can't even call it a narrative anymore because it's just facts.
Yeah.
James Franklin struggles against
Against
top
ranked
10
teams.
teams.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only I think like 4-21 in his time at Penn State
Mhm.
against top ranked teams. I mean, I think he's
Mhm.
something like 1-15 against top ranked teams in the Big Ten, or
Yeah.
1-15, 1-18, something like that. His only win, I know, his only win in the Big Ten against a top 5 team, top 5, top 10 team, was in 2016 against Ohio
Mhm.
State.
Mhm.
So
I
until
remember that
you,
game. I actually remember
yeah,
that game. That's
and it
crazy.
was when he first got there, like right around
Yeah.
when he first got to town or whatever. So everybody
Yeah.
had these high hopes for him. But until you win those games, the narrative won't change.
Change.
And I
Yeah.
just, Drew Allard, I think he's 0-6 to quarterback. I think he's
Mhm.
0-6 against top ranked teams since he's been the starter there.
Yeah.
Penn State went out in the offseason. They bought in high priced defensive coordinators. They went to the transfer portal to get some receivers, and they still lost the game at
Well,
home.
and their defensive coordinator came from Ohio State, Jim Knowles.
Ohio
That was
State.
who
Yeah.
they hired from that guy.
Yeah.
So rightfully so, you're thinking that, respects to Ohio State, they're a good team. You're getting their defensive
Yeah.
coordinator that it's going to help your team because arguably Ohio
Right.
State is better than Penn State. So you think you're bringing in this guy to help ideally a weaker team. You're going to notice some things and see some differences, and that just wasn't the case. And you mentioned about their quarterback, Drew Aller. You said, yeah, Drew Aller. I think unfortunately his narrative is going to be his interceptions in big games.
Yeah.
They just played Oregon in the Big Ten championship, which I forgot about. I think just because I assumed that Ohio State won the national championship last year, that they won the Big Ten, but they didn't. Oregon did. Now I remember that because it was such a big deal. Oregon's first year in the Big Ten, they already won the Big Ten championship game, which was insane. But anyway, he threw that interception. There were two interceptions that made that game last year, and he threw an interception then. And then you had the interception last night against the exact same team in double overtime.
Yeah.
So there's a little rivalry now that's probably developing and brewing between Penn State and Oregon because the both times you played them, you choked.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a problem, but, James Franklin's not going anywhere, just like
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley. Lincoln
Right.
Riley's not going anywhere. These guys have huge buyout clauses in their
Right.
contract, which makes it very hard, very difficult for the university
Yeah.
to fire these guys without
Mhm.
cause. Franklin is not going anywhere. I think his contract runs through 2031.
Mhm.
I think he's got like a $8 million per year
Mhm.
buyout for however
Mhm.
many years is left on his contract. So I mean, that's a huge
Mhm.
buyout. That's a huge hit for the athletic program if they were to, they wanted to get rid
It's
of
a
the guy.
lot.
To which, there's of course there's going to be some unrest in Happy Valley. Those guys
Mhm.
want to win, but
Yeah.
hey, I mean, he's not going anywhere. The coach is not going anywhere. So they're just going
Right.
to have to find a way to get over the hump. I do believe they play Ohio State, who will be ranked number 1 at the time.
Yeah.
I think they play them like the first weekend in November in
Mm.
Columbus. So if you want to,
Mhm.
start to change the narrative of what people say, win that game.
Yeah.
Go to Columbus and win that game, and
Win that
everybody
game.
forget all the other games that you lost.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. I mean, Ohio
My
State
God.
just not gonna lose, man. I
They're
mean, I
not gonna
told you
lose.
that they just not gonna lose, man. They're not gonna lose. Ohio State's
Yeah.
a really good team. They're not gonna
Yeah.
lose.
Yeah. Even
The offense,
outside of the Big Ten, obviously, again, I said this in previous episodes. I thought that they were going to crush Michigan last year. Michigan, we beat them. So obviously, being a Michigan fan, I'm not going to count. I'm not going to give Ohio State too much credit and say that nobody's going to beat them because I still have some hope. But I feel like when you
who?
look at sometimes when you
Who?
feel like I look at them, even with people outside of the Big Ten, it's like maybe Georgia, you know, could go.
Listen, Ohio State is ranked number 1 right now, right?
Yes.
I think Miami is ranked number 2. That
Are
is a
they?
huge gap between
Miami is number
number
2. You're
1
right.
and number 2.
Yeah.
It's just a huge gap. Just a huge listen, I mean, obviously, I'm a Michigan fan, obviously, but I'm not a hater. I'm
No.
gonna give credit where credit is due, man. Ohio State is
Yes.
freaking good, and I don't see right now, just looking at the landscape of how things are. It's only been 4 or 5 weeks, I get it. But I
Yes.
just don't see what other team is going to compete with them right now,
Yeah.
as far as winning a national championship. I just think Ohio State is so much better
Mhm.
than all the teams that they're going to face. I mean,
Yeah.
anything can happen, but
Yeah. And I
got to give
hope
those
that we
guys
can eat
credit,
our
man.
words at the end of the season and somebody does because I don't wanna watch them win another national championship. I didn't even watch the national
Listen,
championship last year. I don't wanna
I
see
didn't
that.
either. They've played 4 games this year, and they've given up 22 points
Right.
in
Right.
4 games, man.
Yeah.
The offense is not as dynamic
Mhm.
as, we're used to seeing from Ohio State. I mean, they only scored
Yeah.
24 points against
Against
Washington
Washington last
yesterday,
night. Yeah.
but the defense only
The
gave up
defense is
6.
insane.
The
The
defense is
defense
pretty I
is
mean, they gave up, what,
insane.
7 to Texas, I think it was, to open up
Mhm.
the season? Those guys are just rolling. They
Yeah.
are rolling, and it's gonna be tough
Yeah.
for anybody to beat them,
Yeah, because you
in
were
my
speaking of
opinion.
yeah, you were speaking about their game last night. So their defense held Washington to 234 total yards. And then they
Yeah.
have Caden Curry. He had a career high of 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and 11 total tackles. And the team itself had 6 total sacks. So that was just one person had 3. And then the team as itself, they had 6. So if there's anything for certain is that their defense is really, really good.
Defense is
He said
solid,
their
man.
offense was slow, pretty much the whole time. They like you said, they only scored 24 points. They kind of pulled away. Same thing against Texas. Their offense, they didn't put up a lot of points. So their offense is still a little questionable, but any team that plays them is going to have to do very well against their defense for sure.
And that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, because
It's gonna
defense
be
wins
tough.
games.
I mean, I looked their schedule. I think they have, who did I say? They have Penn State. I think they have
Mhm,
Illinois, maybe Illinois,
mhm.
Indiana, and then they have Michigan. Those are the ranked teams that they have left on their schedule right now.
I'm holding out hope
I
for one of
just
them.
until we get to November, I just don't see them losing a game.
Yeah, but it's always possible.
It's
It's
all I
always
mean,
possible.
this is why they play the game, man.
Yeah,
You still have to go out there and play. Penn State
yeah.
could rise up on November 1st, I think it is, and win that
Mhm.
game. So that's why you play them. But I'm just saying, for me, somebody just going to have to prove to me that you can beat Ohio State this year.
Y'all
And I
hear
don't
that,
think it'd be
Michigan?
Georgia. You
Come on,
said
go.
Georgia out there. I think it'd be Georgia. I mean, look what they did last night against Alabama at home.
Okay. So we're going to flip gears over to the SEC. Yes, because if I'm being completely honest, I was kind of counting Alabama out, not even just because of this year. I know that, they lost to Florida State, cool. They played some other teams that don't really matter, cool. But, just this is the significance of what's been going on with Alabama. Everybody knows that is a big shift, okay, to go from Nick Saban to anybody, not even discrediting Kalen DeBoer. I always said, I feel bad for anybody that comes after Nick Saban. I said that before there were even ever any talks of Nick Saban retiring, just because of what he did with that team. For me, if I'm being completely honest, he got me into really watching college football because it was Alabama. Obviously I was watching football a lot, but I have a best friend who is Alabama diehard down, like no matter what goes on with that team, he loves Alabama. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, and I watched that team and I was like, wow, this is like I know you don't agree with this, but like an NFL caliber team on college football. It's like, you always told me, especially when Michigan used to struggle, you always told me that schools like Michigan recruit players who can play on Saturday. Schools like Bama at the time, like Clemson, Georgia, they recruit players that can play on Sundays. And I've always liked that analogy. And it's still true. Yeah, I've always liked that analogy. It's just been tough to see the shift in Alabama. And I know there's been talks of like Georgia also not being as great as they were, but it's still Georgia. Like they don't,
Georgia.
It's fine, So I thought that Georgia was going to win, go Dogs.
Yeah.
I thought Georgia was going to come out with that win, even when, so I don't remember exactly at the point of the game, but it was towards the end and Bama couldn't convert late in the game on 4th down and Georgia got the ball back. I thought Georgia was going to score. They didn't, but Bama's defense held out in that game. The score never changed from 24-21. So yeah, I'm happy for Kalen DeBoer. I feel like this is a big win for him. I think he needed this win. And, I know I'm yapping a lot, but correct me if I'm wrong. If you're an Alabama fan, if you're a coach, whoever, if there are certain games that you have to win in your season, it's obviously Auburn in the Iron When you play them in the regular season and most likely in the postseason, LSU and Tennessee. And I feel like he needs to get those wins this year.
Yeah, that's correct. Because we saw with the rivalry that we're a part of, the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. Mm-hmm. Ohio State won the national championship last year, but they didn't beat Michigan. So to a lot of their fans, of course, they're happy that they won a national championship, but you didn't beat your rival. And so Kalen DeBoer, his situation is the exact opposite of James Franklin. He beats ranked opponents. He's 2-0 against Georgia.
You're right.
He beat LSU last year. So overall, he has a 4-1 record against ranked teams. It's the unranked teams that Kalen DeBoer is having an issue with. I saw a stat. He's lost 4 games against unranked teams in the 18 games that he's coached so far. Mm-hmm. Nick Saban only lost that many games in 17 years against unranked teams.
So wait, so how many teams was that? Because that just threw me for a loop. So you said he's lost how many?
He's lost 4 times to unranked teams. In his coaching tenure at Alabama so far.
And he's been there for 2 years, right?
And he's been there not even 2 years. He coached the whole season last year and 4 games so far this year. So what's that, 16, 17 games?
And that's how many Nick Saban had in his career?
In his 17 years at Alabama, he only lost 4 games against.
That's what I'm saying. Teams. Like, I just feel bad for anybody that comes after this man because you set the standard so high. You can't.
That's
blame
the same thing
people.
I tell your mom. I just feel sorry for anybody that will come after me because it's hard to be the man to replace the man. So I'm sorry. I just
knew where you were going with that, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
It's just facts. It's hard. Can't be the man to replace the man.
There's no one coming after you. Okay, y'all are locked in. Okay, don't play with me. Don't play with me. That's hilarious.
Yeah, but shout outs to Kalen DeBoer. I was one of the ones at the beginning of the season when they lost to Florida State, saying not saying that the guy was going to lose his job, but just saying that, hey, the natives in Tuscaloosa is going to get they're going to get a little restless.
Yeah,
for sure. They had Nick Saban, they were winning championships, they weren't losing to the likes of Florida State when they wasn't ranked.
Right.
But goes into Georgia, hostile environment, and he gets the victory.
I'm happy for him.
Give him credit. Yeah,
I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the Bama fan base too, because I feel like they would have been super dejected if they would have lost to Georgia. Not saying that, like I said, they lost to Georgia under Nick Saban too. So, but I just think with the significance of with the switching over to their new coach, it's just it's good for everybody. Let's just say that they beat Georgia yesterday, and I think it
and it's
just
gonna
gives
take some
everybody
time.
some confidence, especially the players and the
Yeah,
coaches, that they can still compete. And which
yeah.
I don't think that was ever a question, but obviously there was just some uncertainty, with, like I said, again, with the transition. I sound like a broken record, but I think it just gives everybody some confidence, like, okay, like we're still Bama, like we still got it, we could do it.
Right. And we touched on that a few episodes ago when we talked about when you lose high profile coaches like that. And I keep bringing up Ohio State, but how they were able to maintain their level of excellence after they lost Urban Meyer and just
Right.
transitioned to Ryan Day. Alabama's trying to do the same thing. You lose Nick Saban, you bring in Kalen DeBoer. That first year was a little bit of a struggle, got off to a rough start this year, but you go in and you beat Georgia, you know, people are going to be expecting you to maintain this level. I mean, you know, LSU is good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
as great as they used to be.
Used to be. Yeah.
You can't lose games to LSU and Auburn and Tennessee. Like you said, you
Right.
have to be able to beat your rivals. But those
Right.
can't be the only games that you get up for. You got to be able to beat
Yeah.
Vanderbilt. I
Yeah.
think they lost to Vanderbilt last year. No
Last year
disrespect to
they did.
Vanderbilt, but Alabama needs to be able to beat teams like that on their schedule. So
And
we'll
that
see.
was a point I forgot to make earlier when I was talking about the 4 teams that they need to beat. With an asterisk next to that all those other teams, like, it's not even a question as if you should beat them. But there
Right.
are, those big games are the ones that we spoke about. But yeah, like you said, all these other teams like Vanderbilt and, Ole Miss, whoever else they play in the SEC, you're not even thinking about that. Like, of course we're gonna beat them, but we
Yeah.
really got to beat these other
Mississippi
people.
State. I mean,
Yeah.
Ole Miss is legit. Ole Miss got a good
Mhm.
team, so that's not going to be an
Yeah.
easy victory. But
Yeah.
if you're Alabama, you're expected to win those
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
Ole
just that
Miss, like you
simple.
said, they beat LSU yesterday. So
Yeah,
again,
that was a
you
good
literally
game.
never know. You literally never
Yeah,
know.
that was a good game. That was a huge game in SEC. Ole
Yeah.
Miss being able to hold off
Mhm.
LSU. That was
LSU.
that was that was a big game. Big
Yeah.
game. It's
Yeah.
still early. I mean, there's a
Very
lot of
early.
football
It's a
left to
lot
be
of with.
played.
Yeah.
But, and this thing obviously will sort itself out as we go along here. We're not even in
Mhm.
October yet. So,
Right.
but it's already been exciting and there's only been
Mhm.
like 4 or 5 weeks that's
4
been
or 5
played.
weeks. Yeah.
The next 2 months are going to be very exciting because now
Yeah.
you're going to get some of these teams that are ranked highly together, facing
Yeah.
off against each other. So
Somebody
it's
gotta
going to be
lose.
exciting.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to lose.
All right. Speaking of exciting teams facing off against each other, switching over to the NFL. Week 4. Like
Yeah,
you always say, there are never any bad games in the NFL because, like I said, I was looking at the
never.
schedule last week and I was like, eh. And it was pretty fun, all those special teams and things like that. But today in the NFL, I feel like you have a lot of, on paper, really good games this
Yes.
week. And I, for one, am
Yes.
really, really excited to watch said games.
Well, me, I'm always looking forward to watching the Detroit Cleveland game.
Right.
The Lions came off that big victory against the Ravens on Monday night. I think
Yeah, that
that,
was
don't overlook
electric.
the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
They have a really good defense. I mean, but the Lions will be ready to play. I think
Yeah.
I think they'll do okay. Obviously, I think they're going to win, so I think they'll be
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
You know,
And then you mentioned Indianapolis and the Rams are going to be a pretty big game today.
sneaky good game on the schedule. It's going to be overlooked
Hmm.
because you have some other big games on the schedule, but that's going to
Yeah.
be. We're going to find out about the Colts
Colts
to see
today.
if
Yeah.
they are
Because the Rams
really
are a good
legit.
team.
The Rams are a very good team.
They're a
They
very good team.
could have easily been 3-0 coming into this game had it not been for a
Yeah.
couple block kicks last week against the Eagles. But the Colts are 3-0. I think the game is in Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not
No,
sure,
it's
but
in. No,
it's in LA. Okay, so we're going to find out. We're going to find out if the Colts are legit or not. I'll be
yeah.
paying attention to that game.
Yeah. Another really big game, Philly and Tampa Bay. Eagles and the Bucks, both 3-0.
Another both 3-0 teams. Yeah, the
That's what
Bucks have
somebody got
won
to
3
lose.
games, last second field goals or touchdown drives or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Eagles are 3-0, but I don't really feel like the Eagles have played well so far this season. I mean, they got some narrow victories.
Yeah. Especially
You
last week.
know,
I feel like The first 2 weeks was chill a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there were still some things that like they need to go out there and fix, and they straightened up real quick. But I think last week was definitely the biggest struggle out of the first 3 weeks that they played. And with a team like Tampa Bay, they really same thing as the same thing last week when they played the Rams. Like you got to start out strong, and they didn't. So I just hope they don't have to come back from behind again against the Bucks because that was rough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. I mean, one of these teams will suffer their first loss of the season, but I'm looking forward to seeing that game.
Hopefully it's not the Eagles. And then we have Baltimore and Kansas City. That's probably the game I'm most excited about today. It's Baltimore and Kansas City. I can go back to rooting for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens after last week.
Right.
Now I'm full with it again, so I will go back. But both of those teams are 1-2.
One of the teams will be 1-3.
1-3 after
this
today.
Game. Yeah, so they're both 1-2 coming into this game.
And then obviously the biggest game probably that everybody is going to be worried about is the Cowboys and the Packers.
Not everybody.
Tonight. Everybody except you. Again, another asterisk next to everything. Everybody except you. I'm excited for it. I like the hype around it. So I just hope that it's not a boring game, especially because this is the Sunday night game. Because one thing I hate is a boring Sunday night or Monday night football game. Because I'm like, this is all we got to watch right now. I can't flip to anything else.
I think the Cowboys are going to win.
You think so?
Cowboys are going to win.
That is a hot take.
I think
based off of how they played this season, you think that the Cowboys are going to beat the Packers today? You just said last week that their defense is horrible. You think that they're going to?
It is. I think their defense is horrible, but I still think they're going to win.
Okay.
I don't know. I know CeeDee Lamb is not playing, but at some point the Cowboys are going to win a big game against a good team. And I think they're going to win tonight. I mean, I'm not really sold on the Packers, maybe because I'm a Lions fan, but I think their defense is pretty good. But, to me, there's still a question mark with Jordan Love.
Okay.
He's a decent young quarterback. But I don't know. I think the Cowboys are going to be up for this game. I think they're going to be up for this game. I think they may win.
Well,
we'll see.
The hope is I think Dallas will be happy to hear that. So, I mean, they obviously they don't have their doubts. Curious to see what the vibes are going to be like when Micah Parsons takes the field for the first time, because fans are disrespectful. Okay. But
I don't think they're going to be disrespectful. I don't think they're going to be disrespectful to Micah. I think the fans are more upset with Jerry Jones than they are with Micah Parsons. I think Micah get a, not a standing ovation, but I think people will cheer for him. It's kind of similar to the Luka thing. When the Mavericks traded Luka and the first time he came back to Dallas,
analogy. Nobody booed him.
Nobody booed him. I don't think they're going to boo Micah. They're going to boo Jerry Jones. Now, if they show Jerry Jones on the Jumbotron or whatever, the big screen out there, they'll probably boo him, but they're not going to boo Micah. They're not going to boo him.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of number 11 Cowboy jerseys in the stands tonight. People are going to come out and cheer for Micah. That's a good point.
You make a really good point. That is true.
Yeah.
True.
So, but we'll see. I think the Cowboys will win the game, but we'll see.
All right. Well, we will check back in with you guys on our next episode after tonight. So we'll go ahead and stop there. Again, if you haven't already, please go ahead and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. That way you get updated whenever we upload a new episode, and it also helps us out as well. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Stay here till we get back.